Have you ever truly stopped to ask yourself why certain desires run through you, even when every part of you screams no? They don't ask for permission. They don't knock. They invade. They're like sudden sparks in the dark, a heat that rises through your body without explanation, as if something inside you was desperately trying to wake you up. Maybe you've been taught to call this weakness. Maybe you've learned to look away, laugh it off, pretend you don't feel it. But what if this discomfort is actually a message? What if it's not a mistake, but a calling? Carl Jung, one of the great explorers of the human soul, believed that within each person lies a forgotten territory, still alive, even if hidden, a place buried beneath layers of control, logic, and appearances. He called it the unconscious, and there in silence and shadow pulses a wild force, the sexual instinct. But be careful. For Jung, sex was never just physical. It was a symbol, a language, a mirror of the soul, something that reveals what you try to hide or what you haven't dared to see. Desire as symptom and signal. Most people live only on the surface of themselves. They think they decide, feel, and control their lives. But behind every decision, there's something invisible whispering, something that guides, that pushes. Desire is there, in the way you look, in what you try to cover up, in what you wear and what you avoid wearing, in what you want but don't dare to say. That's why the world prefers to ridicule desire, turn it into a joke, a product, a sin, because it's easier to laugh at your shadow than to face it. But Jung didn't run. He dove deep into that instinctual labyrinth, like someone entering a forbidden temple. And he came back with a brutal truth. What you don't know about yourself controls you. Desire isn't the villain in your story. It never was. It's the messenger. That uncomfortable feeling you try to silence, that pressure in your chest, that unnamed burn, that presence in the quiet isn't against you. It's showing you where it hurts, where it's lacking, where you lost touch with yourself. That's why this moment is called the call to awakening. Confronting the shadow, because the real journey begins when you stop running and start listening. Listening to what desire is trying to say, even when everything around you screams the opposite. The world will try to hand you ready-made answers. It's wrong, it's immoral, it's weakness. But the unconscious doesn't speak in words. It speaks through symptoms, through impulses, through patterns that look like coincidence, but are symbolic cries. The more you ignore it, the louder it gets. And Jung warned us, the desire you repress rots. What you deny becomes compulsion. But what you understand becomes awareness. That's the shift, the first step. Recognizing that something greater is at work within you. Something that doesn't want to destroy you. It wants to wake you up. So pause, breathe, look inside. This calling didn't come by accident. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop fighting your desire and start listening to what it wants to reveal. Because after the calling comes the confrontation. It's when the hero steps into the dark forest, the one where the path disappears, where certainty dissolves, and all that's left is instinct. When desire distorts, you thought you had control, that you made rational choices, but you start to realize there's something inside you that acts without permission, that desires, that sabotages, that insists on existing. And then desire becomes noise, no longer a language, no longer a bridge, just a hollow urgency, a raw force trying to say something, but no one is listening. Closure, desire as guide and reconciliation. Because in the end, all of this becomes something greater, a silent revolution, not of shouting, but of listening, not of war, but of reconciliation. Carl Jung never spoke of desire with moralism. He spoke with reverence, because when he spoke of desire, he spoke of soul, of meaning, of return. And now, with your feet firmly on the ground and your heart awakened, one question lingers. What is the true role of desire in your journey? And maybe It never tried to pull you away from who you are. Maybe it's always been trying to lead you home.